Good afternoon. If I can get you to cease conversing and sit down, we can go ahead and get started with this activity. And we'll leave the doors open for people who want to come in and go out. Thank you. Welcome to the Kansas State University State of the University Address for 2014. My name is Dave Rentowel. I'm the current president of Faculty Senate. I have a one-year sentence on that. Faculty Senate is actually the host of this event, so I'd like to take a minute or two to familiarize you with what it is we do. As you may or may not know, there are 90 senators in our Faculty Senate representing 13 different caucuses who represent, therefore, about 3,200 faculty and staff across the three K-State campuses. We are focused mostly on issues concerned with academics, but also with faculty affairs, unclassified professional affairs, and information technology. We have oversight over the courses and curriculum, and that requires a fair amount of our time. And in that job, we actually work very closely with the university administration to do the things that we do, and we call that shared governance. And Kansas State University, I am learning more and more as I get into this job, is a very good place for shared governance. We do this a lot better than a lot of other institutions. I'm privileged to work with a fair group of individuals who are what we call our leadership group. Some of them are here, some of them are not, but I'll go ahead and introduce them. Julia Keene, our past president, is here. Fred Guzek from the Salina campus, our president-elect. Lolita Sump, our secretary, could not be here today. Andy Bennett from the math department is chair of our academic affairs committee. Barbara Anderson is chair of our university planning committee. Don Crawford, chair of our Information Technology Committee, and Betsy Cobble, chair of our Faculty Affairs Committee. And Danielle Brown, who I did not see, she may be listening in from Salina, who is chair of our Professional Staff Affairs Committee. It's also important to recognize the person who does all the work, and that would be Candace LaBerge right here in the front row. This is going to be a pretty busy year. Last year was a pretty busy year, but hopefully it won't be nearly as frantic as last year. But some of the things we accomplished last year was to establish a couple of task forces. One focused on the creation of an all-university employee climate survey, which I think we'll probably hear a little bit more about today from the president. And the other to develop an electronic course approval process. Yeah, you better go redo your slides. We also held the first general faculty meeting in about 10 years or so to amend our Constitution to allow us to form a Professional Staff Affairs Committee, which is brand new last year, and Danielle Brown is the first chair of that. And we continue to emphasize the importance of faculty and staff merit raises and salaries in order to maintain our competitiveness. And finally, as you probably heard in the papers, we did fight valiantly for academic freedom and against the state Board of Regents' social media policy. We lost that battle, but the war is not done. We expect this to be another busy and productive year. Hopefully we won't have so much excitement as we did last time. We appreciate the fact that you all came out to hear the president and to get in tune with the state of the university. We appreciate all of you, and please join me in welcoming President Schulz to tell us about the state of the university.
Well, good afternoon, and it's great to see everybody come out on a Friday afternoon. We've got our parents group advisory board is here. We've got faculty and staff, students, people from all walks of Kansas State University life, so welcome. We also have people following us online and watching from the hopefully from their offices where they can do email if it gets too boring. And we also will have an active social media feed. So Twitter and Facebook and things like this, as we're going through and we're showing videos and stuff, our folks out there are going to get to enjoy that as well at the same time. So this is a really fun talk to put together because I give my ideas to marketing and communications and they all make them look great. So we're going to see a whole series of videos today celebrating different aspects of K-State, our faculty's success, our student success, and so on. And that group's worked for a couple months on these, and so I hope everybody enjoys them as much as I did. And so let's start off with the year. The first thing I want to do is show you the little short video that we use for athletic events and things like that. You notice there's always a little 30-second deal sort of at halftime where you get a chance to illustrate your university and give its message. So please enjoy that.
Powerful ideas are sparked by a natural curiosity. It could begin with a single seed or a brilliant ray of light. At Kansas State University, it begins with research that advances the world, where science and creativity meet. At Kansas State University, powerful ideas begin with you.
So a very cool start that you'll see. Over the course of the year, Kansas State's always featured in different sorts of higher education rankings, and it's always kind of cool each year to look at where we are. The Princeton Review puts out the best 378 colleges, and we always do very, very well in that particular one. Number 3 in quality of life. Number 5 in campus community relations. Number 7 in happiest students. I have no idea how you measure that, but hey, it's cool. Number 11 in best career services, and students pack the stadium. Again, I'm not sure how that's measured, but we'll take the number 11 ranking. Number 14 in best run colleges, and I've voted personally for that 30 or 40 times, so I'm very pleased that that came through. Number 16 intramural sports. Even though it's heavily flawed, I believe U.S. News and World Report is something that is very popular in the higher education community, and people talk about that. We don't use this as one of our metrics to measure. We do track it if we go up or down. This last year, we were 74 in top public university category, and 142 when you put all the publics and privates together, and that was down a little bit from the previous years. But when you're at these particular things, you change by 1/10 of a percentage point, you tend to move a lot. We'll just track this, but this is not something that we're going to get too excited about. And then we're always named one of Forbes' America's top colleges. So these are all things that I think recognize some of the national perceptions of Kansas State University. We're pleased to be recognized in these particular ways. Well, if we look at enrollment over the last several years, as you can see above me, if we look from fall of 2010 to fall of 2014, and the 20th day figures and all that stuff were announced by the regents today, our largest enrollment in university history at 24,766 students. It might have been 67, we might have counted a dog walking across campus. I mean, 20th day, baby, we count everybody. Now, what's critical about this particular number, and one of the things that I want the university community to be proud of, is we've got a great admissions staff, but when you talk to families and to students and to parents about why they chose to Kansas State, more often than not, we hear, I went to this department and a faculty member sat down and talked to me about what it would be like majoring in this particular area or what I wanted to do. And it's that personalized attention that our families get when they come onto campus. How many times during the summer have you seen a campus tour group where, mom and dad got a map and their son or daughter is very embarrassed, and anybody out there walking around campus will stop and ask where where you're trying to go and kind of help them out. So this is something that the whole university community ought to be proud of. If we look at our Salina campus, we came up over 800 students there this year, and Olathe campus, since it was 0 in 2011, baby, it's all but up. Okay, 52 students there, all graduate students, and I think we're going to continue to see that campus grow as well. So in addition to size, though, what we want to look at is what does the demographics of that freshman class look like? This is the most academically gifted freshman class in our history and the most diverse freshman class that we've had in our history as well. If I look at our total students, when we add this up, international students now, we are nearly 2,200 international students on our campus, and we're going to talk about international students a little bit later. If we look at Hispanic, Black, Asian, and multiracial students, we continue to see great trends in those particular directions. It's important that when students are on our campus and in our classes, that they get a really a more diverse environment, because that's the workplace that they're going to be in, and it's important that this is all part of our campus culture. So Myra Gordon and many others on campus contribute mightily to making sure that we mentor these particular students, that it's a great experience for them as well. And I want to again take our hats off to our staff and all of you all on an outstanding freshman class. Well, let's talk a little bit about fundraising. This has been an area we've been really successful at Kansas State over the last couple of years. We more than doubled private philanthropy coming into Kansas State University. And I would love to say that trend continue just to shoot up like that. I think we'll probably see our goal for this year is $150 million. $211 million, though, is an exceptional year for any university. The Chronicle of Higher Education publishes a list of the top 50 gifts to higher education each year. Kansas State had never been on that list. This last year, we're on it twice. First was for the Dolisi gift to the College of Engineering. That was a combined gift to Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, and Kansas State University. Each university got $70 million. And then the next largest gift on there for Kansas State was the Veneer gift, a $60 million cash gift, and that was in the top 20. So we have generous alumni, friends, and partners that are really working hard to create a great environment at Kansas State University. Well, one of the other measures is endowment. And the question here is, if we look several years ago, our endowment was half of many of our peer institutions. We had just not paid a lot of attention to that. And everybody else is out there raising money at the same time we are, but we've really closed the gap on endowment value. This last year, our endowment grew up by $110 million, which is a really notable leap forward. And important thing about endowment value is if we look at this, 27 new endowed faculty funds established in the last 5 years. And some of those are coming up so that we'll be able to start awarding those to deserving faculty on our campus to recognize the great job that you're doing. Well, you look at the numbers and all those sort of things, and they're great to see, but the question is, and the excitement is, not just the dollars we raise, but the impact it has on our campus. And so this next video is out of the School of Music, Theater, and Dance, and it really illustrates the effects of philanthropy on opportunities for our faculty, staff, and students.
Becoming an all-Steinway school is a tremendous reward and a tremendous blessing for the keyboard division, because it gives us access to pianos that are absolutely top of the line.
The name Steinway instantly makes me think of the very best pianos in the world.
This is one of the few things in the world that is still being made and is not changing anymore. So that's a sort of rarity that way. I mean, think about radio, think about television, think about anything. Everything has changed. The piano basically is perfect, especially the Steinway piano.
And faculty and students also understand that level of quality. They can hear it when the piano is played. The people that are playing the instruments can sense it in the touch and feel of the piano. It's the equivalent of putting one of the great race cars in the world in the hands of a supremely gifted driver. They start to play it, and everything changes. It's almost like the molecules in the room change quality. And it's one of those extremely rare circumstances where the hair on the back of your neck stands straight up.
Even for students who are not so advanced in their lessons, they can tell by the touch, by the response of the instrument, by the sound, that it is so exciting to play on a top quality instrument.
When students come to our campus and they walk around our halls and they see the Steinway plaques that are outside all of the piano faculty studios, and when they see the plaque that's in our atrium that announces this area honoring Mark Chapman's legacy through the All Steinway initiative, there isn't a lot more you need to say except to get them in the room and to have them hear the piano, and if they are a pianist, to sit down and play some on the piano. Musicians understand what they hear. There's sort of a saying that, that a demonstration is worth 1,000 words. And with a piano, that's really very true. The minute they hear that piano being played, they understand the quality that they're being exposed to.
Anyway, very cool. That's what money that comes into the university can be used for. Well, the other thing, in addition to endowed professorships and chairs and pieces of equipment and things, we also need to make sure that we're looking at our buildings on our campus. So, building the future right now, $89.4 million for campus infrastructure in 2014. A lot of this is private, but it's also heating, ventilation, and air conditioning and things that may not be quite so sexy, but they're the kind of things that we really need badly on our campus. If we added everything up over the next 5 years, and this includes all of our campuses, K-State Research and Extension, athletics, every building project we're going to do, comes out to somewhere near $550 million over the next 5 years. So we're going to continue to see core key academic facilities open up across all of the K-State family. Well, right now there's 4 major projects that are ongoing, and it's hard to kind of be around campus and not see these and be impacted by them. Weefald Hall, they're continuing to do site preparation work, and the construction fence is up and around that. Across from that, the engineering complex, and every time I walk by there, that steel work's coming out a little bit further, and you really get a sense of what the building's going to look like. 100,000 square feet addition that'll provide laboratory, classroom space, teaming space for our engineering faculty. The College of Business Administration building, I can tell you from each morning, hearing the construction sounds behind the house, that they're continuing to make great progress here as well on site preparation. We're going to see a lot more of that construction really accelerate next month. And then the Welcome Center right behind us. Over here on this side is where we're building the Purple Mask, new Purple Mask Theater, a state-of-the-art black box theater that will impact our faculty, staff, and students from both a performance point of view and people just coming in and enjoying the arts. Once that's done, we're going to move over here to the Campus Welcome Center side, which is shown here, a $20 million privately funded project that's going to have admissions and financial aid, career planning and placement, and really first-class facilities, and take something that was listed when people did the campus master plan as some of the worst facilities on our campus, modernize them, and turn them into something really cool. And then finally, the green roof that you're going to see put up on both sides will be a living learning laboratory for architecture, planning, and design, and agricultural and biological engineering, and several other departments and programs on our campus. Again, I think some really cool things as we look towards our future. Well, let me shift a little bit away from facilities and fundraising and enrollment to talk a little bit about some of our student success. Let's look a little bit in this next video on some of our undergraduate and graduate projects that are representative of our campus. So please enjoy.
Graduate student Lance Knoll is not only protecting the nation's beef supply, but also making the process more efficient.
It's in our best interest to initiate an early detection system, a pre-harvest intervention strategy, so that we can detect these organisms before they have the chance of even entering the beef supply.
Consumers can rest assured knowing dedicated researchers are helping keep their food supply affordable and safe.
And I just appreciate being a small part of contributing to maintaining the safety of the beef supply with the research that takes place here at Kansas State University.
A group of K-State engineers and students is collaborating with HeartSpring Incorporated, a nonprofit therapeutic program to design tools to help understand the needs of children with developmental disabilities.
We are working to find solutions for the needs of children that really, in some cases, would have no other champion given their needs. So for the K-State students that are involved, it gives them an opportunity to work on a design that nobody's touched, nobody's seen, and it's very open-ended. It's really the kind of opportunity that's hard to find in today's design world.
Whether discovered by an undergrad, a working professional, or a graduate student researcher, solutions for the real world begin with those who understand the problem. That's the Wildcat Way.
Now, clearly, we could have put any of probably 100 different projects to describe there, but I think it describes one of the reasons to go to a research university is our students get the opportunity to participate and do some things that you wouldn't get at other types of schools. We also have student champions, our student project teams. This is a cool part of every higher education institution I've worked at, and we could have had a list of 100 of these different project teams, and many of you all as faculty and staff work and serve as advisors to these particular teams. Each year we like to kind of highlight our national and regional champions in this area, and this year we had 4. The robotics team in biological agricultural engineering, 8th straight national championship. Our Black Student Union was selected as the best in the Big 12 for the 7th time in 9 years. Our crops team, we're just going to bolt the trophy right here in Manhattan. There's no reason to keep moving this around. The 12th title in 16 years. And then a new competition that started a couple years ago was the EPA Rainworks Challenge, and we had a couple teams enter, and we again had a national champion here that looked at a project outside of Hale Library. And so if we did 2nd and 3rd place, there'd be a lot of other things here. So I appreciate the time and the commitment that many of you put into working with these student teams, and I think this is an important part of educational experiences, going out and competing and sharing ideas. And I think these are the kinds of experiences that our students will remember way after graduation. Well, the Fulbright program, we always have a few students and faculty members who are successful here. And this last year we had 2 students who won Fulbrights. Adam Miller as a teaching assistant in Argentina. Jacob Schroeder in chemistry is a Fulbright scholar in Scotland. And we want to continue to encourage our students to work internationally and to think about international programs, which brings me appropriately to my next slide. This last year, if we look at the number of students enrolled, I already showed that, but the cool thing is we have 9 different countries that had more than 40 students at K-State. And when we talk about diversity, we need diversity in number of countries that are represented, and we need enough students from the country so that there's a bit of their home culture here as well to share with the K-State community. For the first time in our history, students from outside the United States make up 9% of our overall student body, and this continues to increase each year. Marcelo Sabates and his team have really done a great job of helping recruit at the undergraduate level. We're seeing traditionally students from abroad at the graduate level, but I think this changes the look of our campus a bit, and I think it's a really step in the right direction. This year we had 171 Brazilian students that came as part of a program with the Brazilian government where those students came and studied in the United States on scholarship, including 55 at K-State Salina. And they were shocked at K-State Salina. They actually had 4 additional soccer teams and intramurals this year with the Brazilian students there. And so it was neat when we were there at the very beginning of the year to hear the faculty and staff there talk about the impact that these students were having on their campus. And then we announced earlier this year a second Confucius Institute in the state of Kansas, one at Kansas State University, and there'll be a celebration of this and some signing ceremonies and things coming up. More stuff in K-State today on that. Well, we talk about the different kinds of students coming in, the need to make sure that we're having a balanced diversity of students from countries, from different backgrounds and things. But we also need great student organizations that support our multicultural students. So this next video highlights some of the history and traditions and excellence of our multicultural student experience.
1 year after Martin Luther King spoke at K-State of hope and unity, the Kansas State University Black Student Union was founded. Even before Black History Month was a national celebration, K-State's BSU created Black Awareness Week on campus. Honoring their past and looking towards the future, the organization is award-winning and voted the best in the Big 12. In the 1960s, the Hispanic community found their voice on campus. Halo continues this legacy of tradition and honor by bringing international activists to campus, hosting the Encuentro celebration, and promoting scholarship with their Belleza Latina pageant. In 1991, the Asian population at K-State needed a strong voice and gained it by forming the Asian American Student Union. The organization hosts annual campus-wide events promoting Asian cultural awareness and unity among its members. Also promoting diversity through culture is the Native American Student Association. The campus group has been active since the 1970s, giving students from different tribes support and a sense of community at K-State. All multicultural student organizations have an important role throughout our campus and community. They are essential threads in the fabric and the story of Kansas State University.
A little bit of history, a little bit of excellence, really exciting for Kansas State University. Now let's shift a little bit to faculty achievements, and this is always a hard one to do because there is so much that you all do over the course of the year and so much in the way of recognition. So we try and pick selected things that I think are important. We always want to recognize people as fellows in their different professional societies and other national and international awards. So we talked about students getting Fulbright awards. We also had some faculty. So Jim Mahoney in philosophy got a Fulbright research grant to Central Asia. I looked up trying how to pronounce that multiple times, and I just can't do it. So sorry about that. American Association for the Advancement of Science Fellows. We've had a history over the last several years at having several of our faculty recognized in this particular way. We had 4 this last year: Walter Dodds and Don Kaufman in biology, John Leslie in plant pathology, John Reese in entomology. Jefferson Science Fellow, Anil Pawa out of Electrical and Computer Engineering, our 3rd Jefferson Science Fellow in the last 5 years. And these fellows go and they work for the State Department in Washington, D.C., giving technical advice behind the scenes, and it's really a rich experience. And we started a Jefferson Science Fellows lectureship where we're getting other Jefferson Science Fellows from other universities to come and visit Kansas State, interact with you all, and I think this has really been something to be very, very proud of as an institution. The early faculty career awards with the different agencies do are among the highest recognitions that young faculty can get. Baruz Mirafazil in electrical and computer engineering won early career award this last year. The American Association of Physics Teachers Orsted Medal to Dean Zolman in the physics department. A Primetime Emmy for Best Lighting Direction in the Olympic Games. K-Staters truly are everywhere. To Brian Pinkel in the music, theater, and dance. The Entomological Society of America Fellow to Kun Zhu in entomology. The Midwest Region Inroads Educator of the Year to Laverne Bitsy Baldwin, who is the director of our Multicultural Engineering Program. Our new Vice President for Research and Professor of Chemical Engineering, Karen Berg, selected as a AAAS Lemonson Invention Ambassador, and there was only a very a number of people that were chosen for these particular awards. The National Endowment for Humanities Fellow to Andrew Orr in History. The National Science Foundation Program Director. We've had a history of sending K-State faculty to the National Science Foundation to serve as program managers, program directors as part of rotation. Gurdeep Singh in Computing and Information Sciences is there now, and is, since I've been here, I think we have 4 or 5 faculty serve in these different kind of positions. A first for K-State. Interior Design Educators Council President, Kathy Atkerson in Interior Architecture and Product Design. And then American Society of Animal Science Outstanding Young Teacher Award recipient. We've had a bunch of these at Kansas State University. Teresa Douthit in ASI. There's more. The Prince Farman Farmanian Research Project Fellow goes to Raneen Kazemi in History. American College of Sports Medicine Fellow, Richard Rosenkrantz in Human Nutrition. The Femtosecond and Attosecond Science and Technology Fellow, and you can't really put that on a lapel pin, it's kind of long, to Uwe Thrum in our Physics Department, and our 2013 Distinguished Veterinary Microbiologist of the Year, Chingapa in Diagnostic Medicine and Pathobiology. These all represent great accomplishments and recognition by peers of wonderful stuff that our faculty are doing at Kansas State University. The highest recognition, though, that we have for faculty at Kansas State University is as University Distinguished Professors. And we have 3 new UDPs that were selected last year, and our next video serves as an introduction to these 3 exceptional K-State colleagues. So please enjoy.
Sandra Stith has developed a couples treatment program for the National Institute of Mental Health and has worked on a variety of family violence-related projects for the U.S. Air Force Family Advocacy Program. her research on intimate partner violence is creating safer families across the globe. Gary Perzinski's patented method of immobilizing soil metals is reducing negative environmental effects worldwide. Generating more than $5 million in research funding, he continues to collaborate with local and national agencies to create safer soil and a safer environment. Badriraju Subramaniam is focused on protecting commodities and consumers through food systems. He earned the Environmental Protection Agency's Stratospheric Ozone Protection Award for his research focused on using insect pests as alternatives to pesticides. These distinguished faculty and others like them are passionate about their research and making a positive impact on the world. That's the Wildcat way.
Well, we also have great staff at Kansas State University, and we have a family of faculty and staff that all work together to make sure that the educational opportunities for our students are as good as they possibly can be. So for our unclassified professionals, we have the President's Award of Excellence. I personally like the title very much, but we have 4 of our colleagues that were recognized in this last year. Jan Mittendorf in the Office of Educational Innovation, Larry Sasler in our College of Engineering, Russ Taylor in our Electronics Design Laboratory, and Alan Rankin in the James McDonald Laboratory in the Department of Physics. And these just represent a sampling of the great people that we have at Kansas State University. This last year was a transformational year for our classified support staff, which now are termed university support staff. And each year at the end of the year, they have a great celebration where they recognize achievement, they recognize with awards. And the 3 top awards that they give each year are in these different categories. In the office and clerical area, Holly McHugh in the Office of Admissions, technical and professional area, Lynn Salisbury in the Division of Facilities, and service and maintenance, Carrie Jennings in Housing and Dining Services. And Carrie is also serving as the president of the university support staff. So this last year was really a seminal year where we had a campus vote, and we had a lot of our colleagues that spent a lot of time prepping for that. And so this next video really talks about the Alternative Service Committee and the impact that the university support staff designation has on our campus. So please enjoy.
So there was a real need on the part of classified employees, and that need was for classified employees to have flexibility in their employment processes here, and that was not possible under the state civil service program.
This truly was a grassroots movement to facilitate this change from the classified system to the university support staff. It started with the employees here at Kansas State University. The university employees had input every step of the way and to decide what they wanted in a plan, what they wanted in the outcome, and where we were going to go in the direction through this vote and this process.
We're now called University Support Staff, and we have, in the last few years, we've actually become more recognized here on campus.
We truly feel that what we do here makes a difference, and they feel that we are part of this community.
We are going to have an opportunity to actually take charge of our employment here at Kansas State University. We're going to be able to grow with the university instead of being left behind. That's something that's going to be very important for all the employees here and for Kansas State University.
And I want to give a shout out to the entire Alternative Service Committee. These were a set of folks that worked for at least 18 months, putting together plans, ideas, working with their colleagues. This was an important decision for the institution, and they spent a tremendous amount of time answering questions and putting together really a solid proposal that ultimately was selected, and we moved to university support staff status. So I want to express my sincere appreciation for our group of colleagues that really worked very, very hard on this over time. Well, you know, we tend to think sometimes, especially living here in Manhattan, of K-State as Manhattan, and we forget that we're really all across the state and the world. And so what this shows you is our 3 campuses, if you will, in Manhattan and Salina and Olathe, as well as the research centers with K-State Research and Extension and our global campus. So what I want to do now, as we sort of wrap up the talk, is spend a little bit of time on some highlights at each of our places outside of Manhattan. So the Salina campus this last year, our aviation flight team was awarded the Loaning Trophy for the most outstanding all-around aviation program in the country. You see the faculty advisor there in that particular group of students. This was the first time that we won this award. This is really, really a big deal, kind of like the Heisman Trophy in this particular area. And so it's very, very cool that he did that, represented Kansas State that way. This is something that all of us ought to be proud of. When we talk about the Welcome Center project here, they had a really old building that needed some serious renovation work on our Salina campus for a Welcome Center there. And I urge you, if you're on the Salina campus, go by and check this thing out. It really turned out well. It was a nice renovation, and you can see there a picture of the ribbon cutting. And it really represents our Salina campus very, very well. There's purple everywhere, very, very cool, and the roof doesn't leak. So it's outstanding. But one of the things that is really critical as we look at, we are a research university, is we're a research university at all of our campuses. And while the amount of scholarship and the style of scholarship differs across each unit and each faculty and staff member, it's also a role at Salina as well. So this next video has got a short introduction to an exciting new facility and research area on our Salina campus.
Salina is receiving, and currently it's being constructed now, a new bulk solids innovation center, which will be a research facility on the north end of Salina that we will help staff. The main reason K-State has decided to go in this direction, and this was a partnership between K-State and industry and the city of Salina and others, is to bring a research presence to this area. It's an area that's a little understood, so we're excited about it. This new research center will complement the K-State 2025 mission by bringing world-class research here to Salina. We'll be able to attract world-class talent. We'll be able to involve our students in our engineering degree programs in this area and become known nationally and internationally as an area of expertise for this.
Our Olathe campus, our newest kind of physical campus, opened up, and our program started there in 2013. You know, we showed the enrollment numbers, but the JCERT is Johnson County Educational Research Triangle. And if you remember back in 2008, Johnson County passed a tax, a voluntary tax to put and fund some dollars in higher education, and Kansas State University got a third of that particular money to do graduate program offerings in the Kansas State metro region. So one of the things that we continuing to kind of feel our way forward about what kinds of things we need to do. We have faculty at K-State Olathe, and you'll hear from one of those in just a minute. But we're also, as April and I have gone around and done our 2025 kind of updates to the colleges and units, and we're about midway through those, we're also exploring what kind of structures do we need to put in place there to make sure that we can utilize the fact that we're in an urban environment. And you'll hear more about that. We have a group of faculty from here in our Olathe campus working on proposals for a flexible graduate degree program and a school-like structure on that particular campus. We have several faculty there that have faculty appointments, tenure-track appointments here in Manhattan, but are resident in Olathe and are very active teaching and doing research and scholarship. And so this next video introduces you to one of those faculty who's there, who's been very successful to date, and learn a little bit more about Elena and her research efforts.
Urban food production and post-harvest handling is exactly what the words are describing, is producing food in an urban environment and handling this food correctly until it reaches the consumers. We received a competitive USDA grant from the Food Security Program, and as we know, K-State is really big in animal science, and I want to hope that with this grant we're going to establish ourselves in the science that is related with fresh fruits and vegetables. Because my research is mainly focused on maintaining and extending the shelf life of fresh fruits and vegetables. That means that the people will have ability to put more fresh fruits and vegetables in their diet, so their diet will be more nutritious, and I think that's a big impact itself.
In addition to our Olathe campus, also our global campus. So Kansas State University Division of Continuing Education got that name back in the 1950s and had continued with it until this last year. And our global campus does a lot more than people think. And so it really was an appropriate time to do a name change. And some of the highlights for our global campus, we had more than 100 Ecuadorian students on our campus, and this has really been a great program. You see the students around, and more than 40 of those students have elected to start a master's degree program at Kansas State University. So it's not just having students here, but it's a true partnership leading to graduate degree programs. Launching our first MOOC, the massive online open course, 1,200 people enrolled. If you think you've had large lecture sections, man, it's nothing like that. And you can continue to enroll in this now. I think it doesn't start for another week or two. This is done in conjunction with K-State Research and Extension. And I think it's our first real entree into certainly something that's caught a lot of the attention of the higher education world. Hosted 153 conferences, and many of you who host conferences work with our global campus conferencing staff on helping put all that together, and awarded nearly 1,400 continuing education certificates. We also have a short spot here. It's a 30-second spot that we will use for advertising and stuff like that to illustrate our global campus. So the reason this one isn't longer is because that's the kind of window that we would have for an advertisement. So this is a quick snapshot of our global campus.
Your everyday life has global connections. Your education can be global too. Earn a degree online from top professors who are passionate about teaching, and connect your career to a worldwide network of alumni. Kansas State University's global campus brings a top research university to you. Wherever you are, your education starts here.
Well, the fourth thing I want to spend a little time on outside of Manhattan is K-State Research and Extension. And we have extension professionals all throughout the state of Kansas. We have people in every county in the state of Kansas doing a variety of different things, doing leadership development, community planning and development, working with military families, working with agricultural issues. So it's a whole set of things. K-State Research and Extension, a key driver in our Global Food Systems Initiative. This is not just K-State Research and Extension, but our College of Ag and a whole bunch of folks working together secured 4 major USAID Feed the Future labs this last year. One of these would have been really a great year for K-State. 2 of them are pretty special. By the time you get to 4, you know, I'm just running around telling everybody. I mean, it's very cool, right? Sorghum and millet, $23.7 million. Post-harvest loss, $23.5 million. Wheat genomics at $5 million. And the largest grant in Kansas State University history for sustainable intensification innovation at $50 million. That was announced this last week. And you bet. And folks, this is really a recognition of the outstanding faculty and staff we have at Kansas State University. These things take a lot of time and effort and energy just to submit, and then to win this number, it's something that all of us should be proud of. The first NSF Industry University Cooperative Research Center on wheat, and then 100 years of extension and celebrating that centennial. And so to illustrate a little bit of at least one of the important problems in Kansas that our extension professionals are working on solving, water. And this next video is a quick snapshot of some of the work happening in western Kansas on a very important thing for our agricultural industry. So please enjoy.
Water is vital to Kansas agriculture. A recent Kansas State University study finds if current usage of the Ogallala Aquifer continues, as much as 69% of this underground resource will be depleted by 2060. This aquifer is the primary water source for the High Plains region.
We wouldn't normally apply that much water.
For 25 years, K-State researchers have been studying application of smaller amounts of water directly in the crop root zone, or subsurface drip irrigation, to improve irrigated crop management. Research studies and on-farm producers consistently show that SDI systems result in high-yielding crops and water conservation when they're properly designed, installed, operated, and maintained.
As irrigation is reduced in the future by governmental or hydrological constraints, we feel confident that SDI can maintain crop production levels at a higher level than alternative irrigation systems.
Kansas State University is dedicated to finding water solutions that helps agriculture remain economically viable today and for future generations.
Finally, as we wrap things up, K-State Athletics, our front porch on the world, the thing that many, many people see and associate with our university. We talk about student athletes, though, and I think one of the things that we have to remember is the huge majority of our student athletes that participate in Big 12 Division I sports don't go on to be professional athletes. They're going on to be teachers and engineers and a variety of different things. And one of the things this last year is we led the Big 12 in APR, which measures basically, are we bringing high-quality academic students in? Are the students staying at Kansas State? And then are they graduating? We led the Big 12 in 5 sports: men's golf, women's golf, football, men's cross country, women's cross country. This is not just the great job our folks do here, but I also want to give a shout out to our coaches that are recruiting student athletes that have the opportunity and ability to successfully get degrees at Kansas State University. This last year, we also had a record $46 million in contributed to athletics. You say, man, that's a lot of money. When you consider that we had $211 million given to Kansas State University, this is still a record year for everybody. And under John's leadership as our athletic director, the number of Ahern Fund members has grown from about 5,000 to 10,000. And this is an important connection point for many of our folks with Kansas State University. We appreciate that a great deal. So the last video we're going to do before Q&A is most appropriate is really introducing, and many of you have seen this before, our newest proposed athletic facility, the Veneer Complex. So folks, please enjoy this, and I look forward to having some dialogue as soon as this is done. Thank you. Go ahead.
Home. Where do you call home? What makes yours unique? It's more than a fixed point. Another phase along the scrolling timeline you've come to know as life. This is where your family grows, where your passion lies. Complex equations of limestone and steel drive the momentum of skilled hands and mind to create a timeless dwelling. The foundation. Watch as it rises from its roots. A royal color scheme of memories and tradition flourish you with pillars of strength and commitment. You showcase your home's most exquisite features on the grandest stage.
Waters from the pocket, goes downfield, got Lockett, got him beautifully.
Jordy's got it against Lee at 40, 35-30, Jordy to the 20, 10-5, Wildcat touchdown!
Oh, so bold as to capture the attention of those gathered round. Family, friends, travelers from afar, all have made their way to connect with you. What began as a single slab has grown into a place you now call your own.
Intercepted by Archer at the 40, Archer at the 30, he's gonna score! Touchdown! And this place is going nuts! Darren, 45-40, he may score! Sproles at the 30, he's at the 20, 10-5, touchdown! Oh, baby, you gotta love it!
Where do you call home? The answer is here.
Folks, we've had a great year last year. There is much to be proud of, and it doesn't happen without a dedicated group of faculty and staff that are really working hard to make sure that we have a great experience for all of our students, whether they're undergraduate or graduate. So thank you for everything anybody does, and let's go have another great year. So with that, Dave, why don't you come up, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
There are microphones set up in the front for people who have questions. Anybody's got a question for the president or anybody? Don?
Good afternoon. Thanks. I would like to ask a question regarding campus merit raise plans for the next 3 to 5 years. We want to thank you for what has been done, but we have a long way to go. Will the next 3-year plan allow us to gain on our peers, or will we see another 2% merit raise proposal, which will ensure we continue to lose ground?
Sure. So the answer to that is going to be somewhat incomplete. We don't know what the future years are going to look like yet, but we have a University Budget Advisory Committee that's got representation from several of the folks in the room, and that committee is going to work on putting together a group of probably one dealing with faculty, one dealing with our unclassified professionals, another dealing with our university support staff to develop some proposals. We're going to wait, though, I think, until 15 to do that, because we've already got a 3-year salary plan. We still got 1 more year to go, so it's not like we've got to do something right away. So those are the kinds of things. So yes, we are going to work on planning those out. A couple things, though, that are important to remember. We've had to do everything that we've done basically off tuition. And the state of Kansas has cut us by 3% over the last 2 years, and we've been able to do what we could during the time when the state of Kansas dollars have been reduced. So do we want to do more? Absolutely. There's only so much we're going to be able to do with tuition and fees. And the challenge we have is right now the states around us and the states that are competing for the best people are putting additional state dollars into higher education. So, you know, we're having to kind of fight a battle with 2 arms tied behind our back. So bottom line is we made some nice progress this year. We're happy to do that, but it's not going to be enough if we don't get some help from the state of Kansas in addition to tuition and fees to really start making the differences that we need to. So we're thrilled to do what we could this year. We know it's not enough, but we're going to keep at it. That's all we can do.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. That was quick. Next year, it's just going to be one video. So, you know, I'll just stand up at the beginning and do Q&A at the end. And
you just have random answers.
Yeah, that's right. Use the magic 8 ball.
We did get some emailed in, so I can ask one that's probably going to get about the same sort of answer. What kind of plans exist for providing GRA tuition waivers to match GTA tuition? That's been a question for a while, and 2025 is going to sort of depend on if we can get that going.
Right. So it will get the same answer as the last one. I think we have a limited set of revenues coming in, but as I've described before, it's interesting when April and I and other leaders get to do campus meetings, right? We go to meeting A, and they'll say salaries are the most important thing. We've got to spend all our money on that. And then we go to the next meeting B, which says, you know, our facilities suck, and you got to put more time and energy into more buildings. And then the next group says, you know, graduate student tuition and GRA and GTA stuff. That's where you need to kind of focus all your energies and efforts. So the bottom line is we need to be doing it all. So we've got to figure out some creative ways and steps forward on the graduate student issue in particular, because we've made essentially 0 progress on that in 5 years. I think we've done some things with salaries, we're doing some things with buildings, but we've really, and the question is, can we take undergraduate tuition that's coming in and use that, to turn around and pay graduate tuition and stipends. And I think there's some philosophical issues there that we need to deal with. Private philanthropy in this campaign is probably not going to be the answer to the graduate student stipend thing. We're starting to tell a better story about why that's important to K-State, but we're still a ways away from that. So we'll do what we can, but we're going to have to balance that out. And over the last 2 years, we have prioritized faculty and staff salaries appropriately, I think, and to use most of the dollars coming in to focus on those. And I think, we're going to have to look and see how we want to divvy up those monies as they come in. But I can tell you salaries got to continue to be one of our top priorities. And so that means some of the graduate student issues are going to probably take some of the back seat for the next couple of years. So it's not quite exactly the same answer. It's a little different. So.
I knew I could count on you that way.
Thank you.
There's a proposal to offer at the Olathe campus a Master's of Applied Science degree. The proposal seems to use non-tenured faculty or adjuncts, which is a model that offers low-cost flexibility in meeting demands of the corporate community and less hassle for deans, department heads, provosts, and so forth. But it is also a model that has serious implications for the future of the academy. What plans are being made to ensure that faculty teaching at the Olathe campus are fully integrated into the academic communities at K-State, including opportunities for tenure and so forth?
Yep. We have a committee that's working on putting together those particular proposals, Fred, and I'm not on there, and so it's a group of faculty from here. I think there's several folks in the room that are involved on that particular committee. So I haven't been in the meeting, so I got to be a little careful about describing too much of what went on there. Presidents do normally like to be there before we tell what happened. But I think there's a couple philosophical things here that I want to separate out. We, unlike many other public universities, have really tried to focus as we grow slowly, but grow our faculty on making sure that we're not cutting out tenure track lines as part of a solution and moving to an adjunct model the way some of the other institutions have really aggressively done out there as a cost savings. However, if we look at Olathe, what's in a large metropolitan area, the question we have to look at is we've got a set of talented individuals there that aren't interested in a full-time career in higher education, but might want to teach a class or 2 classes, or at their end of a business career, and they like to spend a couple years working in the classroom. They're not going to pursue a tenure track position. They have no desire to, and we need to make sure that we have a pathway that works for them. Should that be the dominant hiring mechanism at Olathe? I would argue probably not, but I think it can be a reasonable mechanism that works because of the location that's there. We're going to have to see what the proposals come out of the committee and evaluate those. And then there is a very thorough and, as I found out recently, extremely lengthy process that any proposals for a degree program will go through our faculty senate, the graduate council, and all those kinds of things. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity to dialogue about this. So it's not going to be poof, something happens and everybody goes, well, gee, I never saw anything about that. So bottom line is it's still much a work in progress. And I think this is something that's important for us to weigh.
Thanks.
You're welcome. One of the things they teach you at President School, if you take 10 minutes to answer a question, you don't get many questions. So I'm learning. I'm learning.
You were at the top of the class?
Yeah, I was. Yes.
I'll help Dave out. I've got a question here that was proposed. Currently and probably historically, there's a perception that the athletic enterprise to the institution is more important than the academic side. Yes, we are no longer sending money to the athletics, but the public sees an intense effort to finish stadiums prior to football games and compares that to the fact that classrooms on campus don't get renovated or new buildings opened in time for the start of the semester. What can be done to counter this perception both with the general public and within the campus community?
Yeah, I think this is probably a bigger issue in the campus community than the general public, but even still, Julie, I think we look and you say, well, tell me what actions have occurred over the last 4 or 5 years. We have stopped sending state general fund monies to athletics, and athletics worked with this on this. This wasn't something that was done in a vacuum. We were paying, and it was historical, a bunch of utilities for athletic facilities, about $1.5 million. They have stopped doing that and making sure that those dollars don't go over there. So, you know, if you look at the athletic budget, $3 or $4 million a year that we used to send over there, no longer going in that particular direction. So I do think that when sort of people say that, people can want to ignore that, but there's a lot of schools out there that are spending millions of dollars of state general fund to have a Division I athletics program. We're not doing that. The other thing, though, that has made a big difference is on some of our facilities things, the fact that the basketball training facility is there, we were able to bring donors and people for the business school and some of these other areas into there and say, you know, we're doing great things for men's and women's basketball, but what about classrooms and labs and stuff like that? And that's helped us close some very large gifts to help with some of the academic enterprise. So I think this is always going to be a tension, right? People can look and say, $45 million for athletics, my God, if we would have just sent that over to academics, just think of how good that would be. And I'll look and say, yeah, but we raised $150 million for academic support and professorships and chairs, so that's far more than everybody was raising a couple years ago. And, you know, as my clones attempted to talk about in the recent campus letter, the Thursday night game was great for athletics, but it causes some inconvenience with people offering classes and laboratories on Thursday evenings. And so I think those are the times when people say, well, who's kind of in control of this place? And that's the balance that I think we have to continue to achieve. So whoever's president X number of years from now, it'll have the same kind of thing, because I think it'll be a constant tension, and we just need to make sure that we're continuing to dialogue, and I say argue, but I mean that in a positive way, about what's the role of intercollegiate athletics, and are we letting it get to be too much of the tail wagging the dog? So that was only an 8-minute answer, so I'm shortening them.
I wasn't counting.
Thank you. Good question. Great question.
We had another one that was emailed in. It's short. We now have, and thank you very much for these, $3,000 equity raises or retention raises, however you want to call them, that department heads can pass out to help with, you know, problems in their salary structure. The question was, I think this came from a department head. How is it determined how many each college receives, and how is it determined how many each department receives? Is that a dean issue? Is that a provost, president? Where does that come from?
I don't know, is the answer to that. I believe it's done. April, you want to answer that? Yes. Okay.
At the level from Cindy Bontrager, from our vice president for, is she here by chance? Come here.
She's way back there.
And keep me honest here, Cindy. The distribution is by the proportion in the number of faculty in the unit. We send them to the college. The college then decides how to distribute them within the departments.
Okay, thanks.
The magic 8-ball approach I was going to suggest is probably yields the same results, but maybe.
I think some of our deans are in the category of 8 balls. So.
Hi, I haven't done this for a while. We used to do it frequently. A common language request passed Faculty Senate last year to now call unclassified professionals professional staff instead. Even though this change passed Faculty Senate, there's been backtracking in adopting this common language. Why?
Yeah. So when we shared this with the General Counsel's office, it turns out there's a whole lot of statutes and laws and stuff like that that actually use this as very specific language. And so when the General Counsel's office came back appropriately so and said, we understand what you're trying to get to, but there's actually a bunch of other issues that we have no control over, instead of just coming back and saying, well, it's a bad idea, let's shelve it, what I want to do is find out if we can find some middle ground there, because I do want to recognize a set of employees that do excellent things at Kansas State that we recognize, but probably the title comes across as demeaning or not really being supportive of what those particular folks do. So the bottom line is I want to find some middle ground that will allow us maybe legally to keep all those things over there, but start referring to those professionals on campus in a different way. So that's the reason for the bottom line. So we just didn't want to send back over a message and say, well, forget it. You know, I know you passed it, but we're not going to do it. I think we got to work together to find something something that's going to work. Of course, I like finding somebody else to blame for things. And
Cindy, or for Cindy.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the President? A question on the Twitter feed.
You can read it from back there. That is amazing. Yeah. That is amazing.
Can you discuss current and future impacts of institutional equity and HR restructuring and what the goals of that restructuring are?
Right. So let me just describe it at this level, and then Cheryl Johnson over here, who's ducking down behind the chair, can tell me how I messed up. What we want to do is make sure for our 5,500 full-time faculty and staff that we have a modern human resources infrastructure that supports appropriate salaries, that supports a great onboarding process when people come on board, that allows individuals to have promotion opportunities without having to gaming the system, and allows us to attract talent in a way that is not overly cumbersome. And we want strategies when you say we need some particular talent in this area, and that we don't say, well, 6 months later, maybe we'll get there. So I think it's really trying to modernize those particular processes. That's my viewpoint of what we want to get to. And we brought in a vice president with extensive industry experience who's done this at a lot of organizations that I think brings some expertise in on how we can modernize our systems and our ability to attract and retain talent. Now, you got to type that in 150 characters, but yeah. Anyway, I'd love to see that. So, anything else? I know Aggieville happy hours are awaiting.
That's all right. Well, why don't we thank the folks who put this together, Candace and the Alumni Center Foundation staff, to get this thing going. And we do have cookies out there on your way to your adult beverage. You can pick one up. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.